Right. Okay. Um, so now going after your 12th, you went ahead and started your medicine career. So was it like you started with MBBS kind of a curriculum, or
Uh,
how did it start?
not
In
not really. Like, yeah, I wanted to be a doctor, so I started applying for all medical schools in Maharashtra specifically because I was not keen on going outside. Although I had appeared for the PMT, but I couldn't score that well to get into a government college seat. Uh, I did got through a couple of colleges in Maharashtra, but the colleges were not, they were newly opened colleges. Facilities were not good, and as per my uncle, he suggested not to go for those colleges for medicine. So I dropped that idea. If not medicine, then I what should I'll be doing? This particular question came into my mind. Then I started exploring the subject which generally one can select during their graduation. And one subject which attracted me well was microbiology. So microbiology is very close to medicine, study of microbes and its effect on our daily life. So uh, then I decided, like, I think this is the subject I should be, graduating in. And then I surveyed for a good college for microbiology, and happened to be my own college. RIA College was or is one of the top college who's offering this microbiology subject. So I took admission for my first year BSc in microbiology along with physics and chemistry as just two more subjects for BSc, but major was microbiology.
right. So let's talk about the best colleges, since RIA is one of the really well-known and popular
Yeah,
college in Mumbai,
yeah.
as far as microbiology is concerned. Any other colleges that students could be thinking of or should be aware of?
Xavier's College is one of the again one of the top college in Mumbai for microbiology and life sciences. Then Bhavan's College is another college, and SMDT for girls. They have really good programs. Like, along with microbiology, they have many other programs which are best in their cluster.
So that's about Mumbai. Any other colleges in other parts of Maharashtra you're aware of?
Yeah, in Pune, Garware College is the good one for microbiology. Then I think. Mm. Yeah, I think I know about the Garwari's microbiology. So that is
Right.
one good college.
Okay.
Yeah. Ferguson is good. Yeah, Ferguson is good for zoology and life sciences.
Right. So technically, when you say microbiology, they start with your first year of your BSc, specialization in microbiology, and then you went ahead and how did you go about STEMs, cell research?
Yeah. So when I say microbiology, so microbiology is a topic in which, along with microbes, you also study cellular biology, because uh, the things which you cannot see through your naked eyes and you need a microscope to observe those things is what you study in microbiology. So, our human cells or bacterial cells are so tiny that we cannot even, see from our eyes. Like, we need a microscope for that. So, when I was studying microbiology, cell biology was one of the topics which came in first year, second year, and third year as well. And I don't know, somehow it attracted me so well that I just thought, like, this, and I used to score really good in cell biology. So I thought it's a good topic that I should be considering for my further education. Uh, so along with cell biology, medical microbiology, industrial microbiology, virology, then genetics, biochemistry. These are few topics which I have studied during my first year, second year, and third year. Immunology was one of them. Then after, yeah, yeah,
Immunology is something that's kind of attracting a lot of traction these days,
yes,
especially
yes,
post
yes.
COVID. So the
Yeah.
topics that you mentioned, were that specialization or were the topics that were covered throughout your microbiology
Yeah,
studies?
they were there throughout my microbiology studies during first year, second year, and third year. And as I have mentioned, like, along with microbiology, I had physics and chemistry also. So it's like, first year was physics, chemistry, and microbiology. Then second year you drop one subject and take two subject further. So I dropped physics and went ahead with chemistry and microbiology. And in third year it was only microbiology. So third year was very extensive. Like, whatever we have done in first year, second year, we went into in-depth knowledge of those particular subjects, and there were some additional subjects which also introduced to us in biotechnology. So, uh,
And Right. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No,
You were saying
so that
something.
that's yeah. So that's what the thing, like, when we talk about specialization, so specialization actually comes into third year, and that is microbiology. So it's like the further specialization happens during your masters and PhD.
Right. Um, so microbiology is a very extensive subject, especially it
Yeah.
really gets onto you during the third year.
Yes.
Um, we now, a while ago you just mentioned that it's kind of not just correlated to medicine, but it's directly related to medicine
Yes.
per se. So how I mean, this is going to be a naive question, but still, let me ask you: what impact does it have, it being directly connected with medicine and human lives, and why is it so important that students these days are also interested, uh, rather getting more aware of microbiology as well, and wanting to go ahead and perform those research?
Okay. So if you see the medical curricula, MBBS curricula, so in their second year, they have extensive microbiology as one of their subjects. And I'm sorry to say, but not many of the medicine students, they like microbiology. But when you compare their microbiology with what we learned in our graduation, ours is much more extensive because they just learned the human microbiology, and that too related to the medical topics, like bacteria or viruses which affect your health, and how the mode of action, and that's it, like what they have learned during their microbiology studies. But when you talk about the graduation level microbiology, it's like, not just the medical microbiology, but in industrial microbiology, you learned about how one can produce medicine using these microorganisms. Like, many of the antibiotics, or, for example, penicillin, like it's been derived by fungus, which again, not a microorganism, but it comes under a study of microbiology. So there were many topics, such topics were there, which you learned more in your graduation level than the medicine. And I had a couple of students, like friends, who were doing pursuing their medicine, and during their second year, they used to come to me, and I used to teach them microbiology. Uh, I never regret after
Yep.
joining microbiology. I never regret, like, I'm not into not got into medicine because I started enjoying what microbiology had offered me. Like it actually expanded my horizon and point of view, like looking at human health and its implications.
Right. So after your graduation in microbiology, I'm sure a lot of people may be probably thinking of getting into some kind of a job or research lab. What were the various options available at that point in time? And not going to them, but pursuing the masters or, some more specialization. Uh,
Mhm.
what is the course of action?
Yeah, so you have many different topics, like, after masters, one can pursue, like I'll just tell you that few of my batchmates, especially girls, like, when you're in microbiology, it's like we had a class of 30 students in microbiology last year, and of 30s, we were just two guys, and rest of the population was girls. So these female population, many of them, they have shifted their focus from microbiology to home sciences, and they went into pursuing nutritionists, dietitians, food sciences, because food microbiology was one of the topic during our study. So, food microbiology and nutrition is one branch. Then one can get into quality assurance management. Then there is some, like, one can start uh, like get into medical DMLT courses. Like DMLT, there is a master's in medical lab technology. So one can go into that particular direction if they want to open up their own laboratory and be associated with medical testing, things like that. And there was a traditional master's program. So as a microbiologist, we had three choices to select our subject. One was microbiology, second was life sciences, and third was biochemistry. And I had selected hardcore microbiology. Uh, and during masters, like, I have selected the specialization as virology and immunology. So, like, we have a dissertation to complete during masters, and I had worked on rabies virus and its immunological aspects. Masters I have completed. Like, I got the admission into Birla College for my masters. So coursework I have completed from Birla College, and for project work, I have shifted to Hopkins Institute, which is in Paris. So this project was in collaboration with Hopkins Institute and Bombay Veterinary College. So there I have, got extensive animal handling training, many immunological techniques I have learned there. Like how to like that is the period when I had actually started working with the cells in cell culture lab, because the project on which I was working, it was funded by Cadila Pharmaceuticals, and they were working on like rhesus monkey kidney derived cells used for producing rabies vaccine. So then there I have learned, how to maintain these cells, and that you know uh, that's where actually I learned that I'm very good in cell biology. My Obviously the cell biology was one of my favorite topic during my graduation, so basics was pretty strong. And when I actually started working in laboratory, I got to know that even my practical hand is like excellent in maintaining those cells, growing them, and fortunately, I think cells also like the way I handle them. So. That's where I had decided that if I have to do a PhD, I'll pursue my PhD in cell biology.
Right. In a common man language, can you explain translational research and regenerative medicine?
Yeah. So translational research is the transition from your lab to bedside. So it's like whatever research you are doing in your laboratory has a direct implications in the common man's life. Suppose you are developing some vaccine, and that vaccine is going to get used, for the development or producing resistance against something. So, take an example, fresh example of COVID virus. So uh, vaccine which have developed in lab, that research is called a translational research. And
Right.
regenerative medicine is when you regenerate your body organs, like using your own cells or a similar cells from donor organism. That particular branch is called regenerative medicine.
So that's an interesting thing when you say regenerative. I'm sure
Yeah.
human body anatomy has own built-in cells that are able to
Yeah.
fight against a lot of diseases. And
Yes.
only if they become weak, then we require kind of a support externally, which probably goes through regenerative medicine.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And another thing is the not just human body, all organisms, they have something called stem cells in their body. And these stem cells are the mother cell of any organism. So these stem cells have an ability to convert themselves into any type of cells in our body. Okay, so generally these stem cells are the one who are one which we use for regenerative medicine. So isolating these stem cells from human like organs, and then converting them into a desired lineage. So lineage means their cell type or cell phenotype, what we call it. So interestingly, this is the topic on which I completed my PhD on. So generally after birth of child, we discard the placenta or umbilical cord, and these placenta and umbilical cord are the very rich source of these stem cells. So what I have done during my PhD is I have isolated these cells from these tissues, stem cells, then tested them that whether whatever cells I have isolated, they are stem cells or different types of cells. So we have billions and trillions of cells in our body, and if we see, there are around 22,000 different types of cells in our body. So every tissue or every organ has multiple types of cells in it. So when you want to isolate, you have to be very particular that whatever you are collecting from that particular tissue is the desired type of cells what you want you're collecting them. So I have isolated these stem cells and then converted these stem cells into pancreatic lineage called mainly islet cells. So during diabetes, what happens is generally these islet cells which produce insulin, they get hampered. Either they lose their ability to produce insulin, or our body mechanism kills these islet cells, and that there are no islet cells, and hence there is no insulin production. So during my PhD, what I had done is I have converted these stem cells which I had isolated from postnatal tissue like umbilical cord, placenta, amniotic membrane, and I have converted them into islet like cells. And then these cells, what we did is we have created a mouse model
Yeah.
wherein we have induced them to have a diabetes condition. So we have destroyed their islet cells, and then whatever cells we have made in our laboratory, islet cells, we have transplanted these cells into these diabetic mice model. And to our surprise, what we found that these diabetic mouse, they start producing insulin again. So in a funny way, my guide used to tell people like, if you're a mice or a rat, I can cure your diabetes. So this was the breakthrough which we had done or got it during my PhD. And this entire process is called a regenerative medicine, because you are regenerating one organ which was not functioning earlier, but now using uh, cells, you can start the original activity in that particular cells.
Awesome. This sounds very, very interesting. And I'm sure students who have that curiosity all the time and the learning ability at all the time probably are the right students who should go ahead and pursue this serious um, stream of microbiology and probably just not stop at being graduating and then get into a lab kind of an environment to do their jobs. But I think it has a very large opportunity to explore themselves and probably make your own mark, right? Like you have done in terms of obtaining, you have filed 2 patents. So if you can talk a
Yes.
little bit about what are patents, why is it so important, and what and how did you go about it?
Okay. So patent is something like like normal terms we call intellectual property rights. So these are the rights given to you by this patent authority, that whatever idea you have put forward or you have worked on, that's your own idea, and nobody can encroach into that particular idea and use that idea for their uh, financial or any kinds of gain. They cannot use that idea without your permission. Okay, so this is what patent actually gives you. So during my like faculty career, academic career, like me and my students, we were working on creating an artificial bone. So along with cell biology, during I had undergone extensive material science and engineering training during my postdoc at John Hopkins as well as in IIT Bombay. So when I started my career in academics, like what I did is I have amalgamated these knowledge of material sciences and stem cells, and I have started working on creating an artificial organ. So the initial journey started with IIT Bombay to create an artificial liver. So what we have done is that we have created a hollow fiber membranes using polysulfone material, which is basically a chemical. And using this particular chemical, we have created a hollow fibers, and these hollow fibers were from the inner lining of these hollow fibers were we have coated with the liver cells. And then we use these particular pipes as not as a liver replacement, but they can sustain the patient until the liver transplant is available to that particular patient. So this is a extra corpuscle devices. That means it will remain outside your body, but perform the functions of the liver being outside the body. So at least for a month, patient can survive using this particular devices. So this was the idea which I came up with and I had worked on during my IIT Bombay studies, and we had filed a patent on this particular idea. Then, when I started my career as an assistant professor in Defense Institute of Advanced Technology, so I started working on artificial bone. So where we have used a we have used another material, and with stem cells we have created basically a material where once you seed the stem cells, like put the stem cells on this particular material, they automatically get converted into a bone kind of a structure. And then this bone kind of a structure we have used to check into animals. Like we have created a artificial defect in rat and rabbit's skull. So this particular defect was somewhere around 8 mm size in rat. Generally, this big defect is it cannot be healed on its own. Generally, rat dies because of that defect. But when we use the material which we
Okay.
have developed, which creates a bone on this particular defect, surprisingly, within 21 days, we could see the new bone formation in that particular defect. So this was something very novel. And the second patent what we have filed is on this particular idea that the material which we have created to generate the bone. So now when you have a patent in your hand, like these two patents, like unfortunately in India, patent takes very long time to get granted. Like there are various stages which under which these patent is being examined. Even the common man has to. They ask questions to common man whether they have heard of these kind of innovation before, and so it's almost been I would say 5 years. It's on the verge of granting now, getting these patent. Maybe in a year's time, I may get the granted patent, both the patents. So once the patent is granted, you can uh, either sell this patent to the industry where from which you can generate a revenue, or you can start your own industry. Generate these kind of materials, and you can set up your own business. So in this particular way, the patent is very important, because if you have a patent, like you have a novelty with you, and you are the sole producer of that particular idea. So in a way, in market, you always get an edge over your competitor. So that's the reason why patents are more important when you talk about research.